It's the Battleborn Podcast. I'm your host, Randy Watson, and I have the LP Nevada, all of the executive committee online here. Why don't you guys introduce yourself?
Well, not all of us. Fortunately, there's only 3 of the 7 of us. Only the least interesting and capable of us had spare time on a Saturday to come around and do your little rinky-dink podcast.
The production values are through the roof on this.
Right? So, but I myself, I'm Charles Melchin, chairman of the Libertarian Party of Nevada. Newly, all of us just came in this May, so we're all fairly new. We're all green behind the ears.
All right, cool.
Yep. I'm Jeffrey Hurley. I'm vice chair for the Libertarian Party of Nevada, and I am chair of the Libertarian Party of Clark County, Nevada. So
I just want to make it clear, I have nothing to do with the Libertarian Party of Clark County. I disavow the Libertarian Party of Clark County.
Yeah, I do not like what those guys are doing.
He's my right-hand man, but he's
they are
against
radicals
the
over there. Have you seen what they post on Facebook? And who are you, sir?
I am Adam Heyman, the Southern Regional Rep for the Nevada Libertarian Party, also newly elected.
All right, so I have 3 of the 7. All white males. Why are you guys all terrorists?
It's in our blood, apparently.
I guess.
We can't help it.
Yeah.
I mean,
I was born this way.
It's the high. Is it high or low melanin? I don't know which it is.
Low.
It's the lack of melanin, right? It's apparently the melanin that chills you out. And testosterone. Yeah, when the lack of melanin and the testosterone collide, terrible things happen.
Well, we all know that skin color defines the content of your character, so...
yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
That is how one should be judged.
Yeah, that's the clip. That's going on the internet. Who posted... Actually, I was looking on the Facebook. Who posted that banger of the... was it the LP with the fist?
Yeah.
Who was that? Who made that?
You want to cop on to it? Come on.
Somebody pretty cool, I'd say.
I'm not sure I want to share who it is, but he's a pretty cool guy from what I know.
It's not wrong. It's just what's happened is it gets shared with various communities that have decided that they are more statists than not, and so they
loved
think.
It.
Yeah, right. And I loved your comment. What was it? You shared it just recently with the comment. It was about a song. Yeah, 8675309. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. That's awesome, right? Because you need to keep a sense of humor about it, especially in these dark days. But I don't know. It seems the people that are deriding it, they're fairly disingenuous because they're pretending that private businesses are choosing to do all these COVID restrictions just on their own volition, without any prompting from government forces in any way whatsoever, which either is incredibly naive on their part, or it's just disingenuous and they know that they're lying. But there's no third option there, so I have no idea. Yeah.
Well, the whole thing is there would be incentives for the market to not impose some of these mandates because it's hurting their business, but they don't have a choice.
It would go both ways if it was private, but it's not private.
And if you know your clientele, you would be able to decide whether it's a good decision or not a good decision, and you'd be able to tell by, there's all kinds of signals in the marketplace, and you'd be able to look at those signals as feedback, saying, okay, is this doing, how's my business been since I've done this? Mm-hmm. Okay, maybe I didn't really know who my audience is. Let's switch it back, and that way, and everybody would figure it out. So.
Well, I think an excellent point that another member of the leadership team made a few days ago was a private business, like a restaurant, that decides to impose a vaccine mandate on their own. You're going to lose every single party where just one of those members has decided that they're not going to share their vaccine information. So I was out the other night and across the aisle, there was a party of 11. And if just one of those party members were I'm not going to share my vaccination information. You are going to need to go to a different restaurant, and that is a huge.
But that's fine. I mean, considering if it were private, there is room for niche markets. There's places that serve tofu. I don't understand it, but if you want such a thing and that's all you serve, and you've got enough clientele to maintain your business, same with vaccine restrictions. If that's how you want to operate, and fine, freedom of association. You rise and fall on your merits, but they're pretending like it isn't the state mandating this, and that makes all the difference. And as far as people arguing that the comparison to Nazism is inapt, I just have to say, when do you start protesting?
Yeah.
A tyranny doesn't just show up on your doorstep all at once.
Yep.
It's one little inconvenience / oppression at a time until you rise up and say no.
It's frogs getting boiled. It's death by 1,000 cuts. And on day one, people weren't getting marched into boxcars.
Yep.
And things needed to happen long before they got to that point, because by the time you're there, it's way too late. And hopefully there will be a lot more voices speaking in opposition to it at that point. And I don't think that we're going to go down that road at all. Like, that seems obnoxious. But what is happening now is incredibly unacceptable. And I guess the ground, like, we're not going to get to that point unless we go through this phase first. It doesn't mean that B necessarily follows A, but we need to accept the fact that we are at A right now. And we just need, unless we push back, everybody being compliant it makes it easy for them to go from A to B. So
yeah.
I guess.
Well, one of the things that I actually have a friend who says this is that the black helicopter scenario where, everything happens all at once is not in the interest of the people who control things.
Right.
It's always the incrementalism, because they have the time, they win the time game. You're talking about generations or, of encroaching tyranny. What, if anything, I thought COVID would have been the event that would galvanize everybody as far as opposition, and it doesn't seem to have panned out.
Not yet.
Not as strong as I thought.
Not yet. That made me depressed for the last year and a half, just at how many people just went along. And I think the government knows best. I mean, what are you going to do?
I mean, we're going on 2 years now. I mean, I didn't realize. I mean, time's gone by, but we're going on. We're going on 2 years of this not going away. I mean.
And it's gotten so long that, I think it's almost getting easy to forget what was happening a little over a year ago. The fact that restaurants were 100% shut down, except for drive-through windows and takeout. That was, literally across the entire state. You could not go into a restaurant and sit down. Masks didn't matter. Vaccines didn't matter. Party size didn't matter. There was a period of time. There was months where you could not go out to dinner. You, as an employee, you could not work. As an employer, you could not provide jobs or food services. You were just, the state said no, and it laid its boot on your neck as fiercely as it possibly could. And if you tried to, then people with badges would come to your door and remove your business license and chain your door shut.
Without even blinking, called a huge swath of the populace non-essential and denied them the right to go to work, to run their business, denied all freedom of association. Contracts went out the window, and nobody even blanched at it. It's appalling. I can't believe that happened.
And I feel like we've already begun forgetting about that.
Yeah, humans adapt. It's our gift.
I suspect it's going to end up starting again.
Yeah, well, a couple weeks ago, I flew for the first time since the pandemic started, and I just realized. I just flew in from Chicago, and boy, my arm's tired. No, I flew to Dallas, right? So I flew to Dallas. I was there for a few days and flew back. But even looking over 20 years of the TSA groping people and going through these machines, because I hadn't flown I just realized it's all, just how much of you've adapted to it.
What are we doing, guys?
Going through, waiting in lines. It's unreal.
I refuse to go through the X-ray machines. I make them grope me every time I go to I want to be as big as pain as possible, because that was the thing, is that even then, I mean, that's just it. Everybody just accepted it, and it was like, no, that it was never the standard, and everybody they were afraid, and they just went along with it. So
Yeah.
And yeah, we're 20 years on at this point.
Yeah.
Right. It's
And
just it's an accepted part of business at this point. And I remember as a kid, right, you'd be able to walk right up to the terminal, and as people were coming off the walkway, like, there you'd be, great, we're gonna walk you to the baggage carousel. Nowadays, like, yeah, you can't go in, and which is frustrating because not long ago we had a friend who had a short layover here in town.
Mm-hmm.
They were just for like 2 hours, touch and go sort of thing, which is plenty long enough to, like, if we met them inside of a restaurant terminal, 2 hours is more than enough, and then we just walk into to their gate, and then everything's great. But considering the day and age that they'd need to leave the terminal, and we need to go to an outside restaurant, and 2 hours is just not enough. And I realize it's a small, silly thing, but like, it's still like, it's the fact that we as a society have accepted it. It's the whole crisis in Leviathan. And considering that is what was born out of 9/11, imagine what's going to be on the other side of this. My God.
Yeah, I was just about to bring up the good Dr. Higgs and the ratchet effect.
Yeah, well, and especially, like, once they have the technology in place to do a vaccine passport, of course, that's where it's going to stop. They're definitely not going to have other things included in this nifty little tool that they could either snap of a fingers employ and add other criteria to this, right? They'd never do that.
So have you guys looked at HR 4980?
What's that? HR, I'm sorry, what was that?
4980, it's the new bill, and it just made it into committee, and it's going to mandate a vaccine passport to fly anywhere.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. What do you think? There's a good chance it'll end up getting passed?
The GOP is a bunch of pussies. They never stand up to anything.
Well, even if they did, right? Would it necessarily matter? Like, if the Democrats enforce, I'll vote for it in one direction. First off, I guess the question is, how quickly would they actually move this through the legislative branches and get to the executive branch, and there'd be legal challenges, and they go through the judicial process. So it's probably going to take a while. I'd be surprised if they don't just executive order this, or hell, have the CDC just be like, you know what? If we can stop all the evictions, we're also just going to mandate that anybody that's flying it, especially if the FDA and CDC collaborate. And it's like, cool, we're just going to shake hands and impose this on everybody. I don't know why the bureaucratic arm of the executive branch can't do that nowadays. They seem to be able to do anything else.
One thing I am not hearing enough of is how this all seems to be in violation of medical privacy. I mean, whatever happened to HIPAA laws, right? So if they can demand information about, health information, then we should be able to demand health information. They should be able to demand it for any reason, but they can't. You can't, they don't have to disclose if you're working for a company or something like that. You don't have to disclose if you have any contagions or anything of that nature. But now suddenly, or if
laws are meant to be imposed on you, not them. There's always ways around. There's always exemptions. There's always national security, medical threat. They can come up with any reason they want to get around a law. That's just for you.
But yeah, it seems that the HIPAA has gone out the window on this one.
Everything's gone out the window, right? Like, what's sacred at this point?
Well, if you have a big enough crisis, I guess you can justify anything, in their minds. And
yeah, I guess we shouldn't diminish the crisis that is upon us, but I can't imagine anything that justifies the actions that government's taken, even if it was something with more than a 1.8 mortality rate.
Oh yeah.
Well, not to worry, fellas. I mean, we've only been elected for the last 4 months. Give us another 4, and we'll sort this out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Never let a crisis go to waste.
Just a couple more protests, and we'll get this all fixed.
Yep. Just a few more of us waving signs on the corner.
Every crisis is an opportunity for government overreach, and then once they take that power, they never give it back.
Well, never let a good crisis go to waste.
Yeah.
I do think that the zeitgeist is moving in our direction slightly.
I don't know about zeitgeist, but I do firmly believe that the history books will 100% be on our side. They're always on the side of people advocating for more liberty, even though we always lose.
Well, in defense of the zeitgeist, I think trust in our leaders has never been lower, which I consider a good thing.